People hear Dead Sea Scrolls and assume one of two extremes. The Bible was perfectly preserved, or it was rewritten. So let's test one real manuscript. This is the Great Isaiah Scroll, one of the oldest and most complete copies of Isaiah ever found. How close is it to today's Bible? And what do the differences actually mean? In the next 10 minutes, you'll learn three things. 1. What the Isaiah Scroll is. 2. How scholars date it. And 3. What scholars conclude when they compare it to later biblical manuscripts. The Great Isaiah Scroll is part of the Dead Sea Scrolls, a collection discovered in caves near Qumran, close to the Dead Sea. This region is hot, dry, and isolated, exactly the kind of environment that can preserve fragile parchment for a very long time. The Isaiah Scroll is often identified in scholarship as one Kisa, meaning it was found in Cave 1 at Qumran. How do scholars estimate its age? Two common methods are paleography, the study of ancient handwriting styles, and radiocarbon dating for some manuscript samples. Many discussions place the Great Isaiah Scroll around the 2nd century BCE, which makes it extremely early compared with much later medieval manuscript traditions. Most ancient manuscripts survive as tiny fragments, but this one preserves long, continuous sections of Isaiah. That's why it matters. It allows real comparison across entire passages, not just a few words. So what happens when scholars compare this ancient Isaiah text with later forms of Isaiah? Do we get a perfect match? A completely different book? Or something in between? In many places, the wording is very close. Close enough that it surprised many people when it was first studied. But it's not perfectly identical in every line. And that's where confusion starts, because not every difference means the same thing. To understand this properly, we need two categories. Category 1, copying differences. For centuries, texts were copied by hand. That naturally creates small variations, spelling differences, word order shifts, or an extra word that doesn't change the meaning. Sometimes scribes correct mistakes. Sometimes they harmonize a phrase to match a familiar reading. These kinds of variants appear across ancient literature. So, variance doesn't automatically mean someone changed the message. Often, it means humans copied it. Category 2, text tradition differences. This is where the Dead Sea Scrolls become historically fascinating. The scrolls suggest that in the Second Temple period, there could be more than one textual tradition circulating. Some readings align closely with what later became the standard Hebrew tradition, often associated with the Masoretic text. Other readings sometimes resemble alternative ancient streams scholars discuss when comparing ancient versions. The key point is not conspiracy. The key point is history. Ancient communities copied, preserved, and transmitted texts, sometimes with slight differences, before later standardization became stronger. So what does the Isaiah Scroll tell us? If you expected a perfectly identical text in every line, it shows a more human reality. But if you expected the text to be totally unrecognizable, it challenges that too. The takeaway is that the biblical text has a real transmission history, preservation, copying, and variation, and the Dead Sea Scrolls let scholars study that history with real data. Myth check. The Dead Sea Scrolls don't destroy the Bible. They also don't prove a modern secret plot. They give us ancient manuscripts, material that can be dated, compared, and debated openly. Recap. 1. The Great Isaiah Scroll is extremely old, commonly placed around the 2nd century BCE. 2. It matches later forms in many places, but it also contains variants. 3. Those variants usually fall into copying differences and broader textual tradition differences, rather than a simple, rewritten overnight story. Next episode, who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls? Was it one community at Qumran, or a wider library collected from across Judea? Watch it next in the Dead Sea Scrolls Season 1 playlist.